All right, here we go. This week we are going to be talking all about my update on HRT, life changes I've made, things I've kind of decided to do to better kind of my own well-being now that I am 50 years old. A lot of you have been asking questions just on the little things that I have changed. And rather than trying to do that in little bits kind of over on Instagram, which is what I usually do, I do tell bits and pieces, or you see parts of it over on Instagram on stories. However, I thought it was best to sit down and do a video and really kind of walk through the key things that I have done thus far. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is I did start HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, in May. I want to say it was the beginning to the middle of May. I probably need to go back and look to see the exact date I started that. And that might be good information. I've been trying to do updates on this monthly for you guys. And I think that I didn't really do an update in July just because of Nordstrom anniversary sale and all of that comes with that. Sometimes it takes away from everything else. So this is the first chance I'm kind of getting to do that. Plus, being here on Cape Cod, my schedule's a little bit more off. You know, it's summertime, MJ has camp, and then we're at the beach, and it's just all these moving parts at this time of year. So forgive me for kind of skipping on that. However, I do find that also there's going to become a point where you're not going to want to hear about it every single month. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. So as I mentioned, hormone replacement therapy was the first thing I started, and that was estrogen and progesterone. My doctor did not feel as if my testosterone was off. However, that is something that she will consider in the future, plus the fact that I started on the lowest dose of estrogen. Now, a little bit of backstory to that. So I got married in 2011, and I remember then I had been doing Weight Watchers. I'm just going to give you a little bit of the background. I had been doing Weight Watchers, and I hit my goal weight of 135 like 2 weeks before our wedding, which was crazy. So that ended up working out perfectly. And with that, that was through tracking my food, majority of it. And then I got pregnant, not too soon after that. And I had MJ in, June of the next year. And then obviously the first couple years of that, my weight had fluctuated. And then I was in my 40s, and I would find in my 40s, I kind of tried a lot of different things. I struggled. I felt like every time what I felt at the time was my highest weight was not my highest weight. I still remember being like, oh my gosh, I'm 155. Now I would love to be 155. And it kept going and going and going. So my top was honestly right around the time I started taking HRT. However, at that point, a year ago, May, let me take it back a year ago, the January before. So that would be a year and 5 months. I had started working out every single day, doing a strength workout of some sort or a pure barre class that also had strength parts to it. And I did that until May. The majority of the days I did a pure barre class, Monday through Friday, I would say. And then I tried to do more strictly strength training on Saturdays and Sundays. And then in May, I did that whole hormone reset. There's a bunch of reels here on my channel and on my Instagram about that. And that was a hormone reset. So it kind of was like I had to take everything out of my diet, and then I slowly added things back in to see what I had reactions to, what I bloated from, things like that. I didn't have any issues with dairy. I didn't have any issues with gluten. I didn't have any issues with vegetables, because also some people as we age are having issues with their gut and kind of like their intestines not reacting well to vegetables as well. So I went through that and essentially found out I didn't really have any strong reactions to those. And with that, she had me kind of change things up and do strength training, strictly strength training, 5 days a week. She wanted me walking 30 minutes a day minimum every day. Well, I started that in May, and then I came to the Cape for the summer, same as this year. And realistically, I didn't walk. I did great. I did my strength training, which I have done on and off since COVID. I want to say when we were here during COVID, I started doing something. Back then it was called Levo. Now it's called Evlo. It's by a doctor of physical therapy who teaches you ways to do things so your joints and your bones don't hurt, because a lot of workouts were hurting my joints. So I went back to that, started doing the strength training 5 days a week. Monday through Friday, I did that, and it's about 35 minutes. And I was like, great, I'm doing strength training. And I was following kind of like her way of doing things for food, which wasn't realistic for my life. It was all organic. Everything needed to be organic, and very, very limited dairy, which I do understand as we get older. Again, that affects our gut more and bloating more. However, and like no carbs. And if they were carbs, it had to be very certain carbs. And realistically, yes, I did that for a period of time and I did okay on it, but it wasn't something that I was going to be able to sustain long term. Me personally, I love my sweets, I love my dairy, I love my carbs. It wasn't going to stop. So I went and continued on with that all through the summer. And I think it was around September or October, there was a girl doing the same thing as what I did. And she posted in the group and she was like, does anybody want an accountability kind of partner? And I was like, yes, yes, yes. And most of these were women. They were women in the same age range as me. So it sounded perfect. And so she and I started talking, and then we started using Snapchat to kind of keep each other in check. We would talk every day, not on weekends as much, but during the week, and we would check in. How are you eating? How are you feeling? Just as we got to know each other, what did you have going on that day, that week, whatever. And she and I really did better at holding each other accountable than I did with being in this group with this one woman who kind of checked in on me weekly. So she and I both actually decided to stop going through that program at that time. She stopped doing it, and, I won't speak for why she did or didn't like that, but I personally felt like I was hitting a plateau. I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't seeing any additional changes. But at the same time, at that time, and it was probably early October, I started walking 30 minutes a day. I took the dogs with me. Sometimes it was 2 15-minute walks. Sometimes it was a 30-minute walk. And I didn't enjoy it. I'm going to be honest. I just was like, this is boring. This is just whatever. But I was doing it. I was like, I'm going to do this. Hey, I can do it. I can take a quick walk with the dogs. I started just around a couple of our blocks, and I think I got like a pedometer, like just a cheapy Amazon one, and started tracking my steps. But I was like, as long as I'm getting that 30 minutes in. And then I kept going with it, and I slowly started realizing that it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I worked up to doing 30 minutes at least in one spot once a day. And then I started doing like 30 minutes twice a day. I even remember if it was raining, I would put a raincoat on. I'd be like, okay, I can get through this. And as it got colder, I was like, I put boots on, and I was like, I can do this. I can do this outside, because I had learned. I put a podcast in. I am not personally a music person. I heard to listen to books on tape. I can't do that either, because my mind kind of wanders. So I also on books on tape find that I don't like a lot of times someone's cadence of speaking. So I started listening to podcasts. If you've been around here for any period of time, you know I am a reality TV junkie. I watch all of them. If it's on Bravo, I watch it. If it's on Netflix, I probably watch it. I just love reality TV. It's my, mindless time, whether it's watching it or just doing things around the house and listening to it. So I found a few podcasts that I liked that kind of were reality TV based or Bravo based. And then I ended up finding one. This is my favorite one to go to. It is, oh God, what is his name? He was a bachelor, Nick Vial, I think his name is. Yeah, it's not Vital, it's Vial, I think. And he has a podcast, and he talks about everything reality TV. He also has one day a week where he does advice, but I don't listen to that one. I listen to his reality TV. He has stars on. It's mindless. I can put it on. If I miss something, I don't feel like I'm missing out. So I put that on and I go. And I found that and I started using that as I wouldn't listen to it when I was cleaning like I used to or anything, only when I went for walks. And so I got to a point where I was enjoying going for my 2 30-minute walks a day. Like I did one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And then winter hit. Now keep in mind, I was, for the most part, trying to track my food during the week, not as much on weekends, because I just tried to make decent choices. And then I was doing my 2 walks a day, 30 minutes each, or 45 minutes, depending on how much time I had in the day. And I was doing my strength training 5 days a week. And I was like, this is what it's going to be. I've seen all these people and they're like, give it 6 months, give it a year, you'll see the results. And January came and it was winter. And I also was like pushing that point of it was just not enjoyable walking outside. So I have a treadmill and I started walking on the treadmill. That was a change. Again, I struggled with getting it done, but I would just pop down, do 30 minutes, get it over with, and then do something else and then do another 30 minutes. And I also found I would find a TV show or a series on Netflix and I wouldn't let myself watch it unless I was on the treadmill, kind of like the podcast. Now I could have listened to the podcast, but something about it just didn't capture my attention as much on the treadmill. So I decided to do that with the TV show. I kept up with it fairly consistently. I would have a few days here or there. You know, in the winter, you just want to lay on the couch and be cozy. And so I kept with that. And then the spring came. I started walking again more. And I was like, I am not budging. I am just not, I'm like staying. When I started all this, I was 160 to 165. And then I went, all of a sudden I was 165 to 168. And I do know as well from all the strength training, I am also gaining muscle. I am aware of that part. So then I kind of edged up to 170 and I went, something is not right. This is not how I'm going to live my life. And if I think 170 is my highest and I don't do something about it, I'm going to keep edging up like I've been doing for the last 10 years. That's when I also, by the way, through all of this, I was having like brain fog. I was like a little irritable. I was definitely having night sweats and like hot flashes. I was definitely having joint problems and just like achy. It just was all the things you can think of. I take my collagen. I took all the vitamins that are suggested to me. I tried all of these things. And so that's when I talked to my doctor. I started on HRT in May. As I mentioned, I was at my highest weight of 170. But also when I went on that, I was like, if I'm doing this, I can't just rely on this medicine, right? Yes, I understand I can stay on it for the remainder of my life because it will help me. Now, I know HRT is not for weight loss. I get that. But it did help me in my kind of like stomach area, my belly area. And maybe it's a placebo effect that it just kickstarted me. But I was like, if I'm going to try this, I need to be more vigilant about not just my walking and my strength training, but my food. Because I know I make bad choices with food. Now, I don't drink alcohol. That one's not an issue for me. It's never been my thing, even when I was younger. However, I have a sweet tooth. So while everybody else is having that last cocktail, that espresso martini, I tend to order a dessert when I go out to eat. I can make great decisions as far as my meals. I might order tuna or fish instead of a fatty steak. I don't tend to order chicken out. I don't know why. That to me feels like a waste. My own personal choice. But I want to be able to go out and still enjoy those foods. So I was like, if I'm going to do this, I watched a video. I still remember Tammy's Ageless Beauty was talking about her weight loss journey and things she had done. And she said, I track everything I eat, everything, even if it isn't right as I eat it. And she said she stays at or under what her calories were. I use MyFitnessPal. It's free. You can get the premium version, which I do to scan things because I'm lazy. It's worth it to me. I don't want to have to type it all in. But with that being said, that just resonated with me. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay at or under as much as I possibly can. I'm going to do my workouts 5 days a week, and I'm going to do at least 3 miles, which is what usually 2 30-minute walks or 1 45-minute walk is for me. And we're going to see what happens, right? I've already got a good year in of the basis of this. Let's change this while I'm changing the HRT. So I did do that. I started tracking everything. And I learned I am a volume eater. I would rather have, not that I'm doing this, 3 apples than 1 granola bar. Get what I'm saying? So with that, I made some changes and some adjustments, and I made that through tracking. When I tracked, I learned, oh, that has that much in it. Was it really worth it? Or would I rather have something else? And so I have cut nothing out of my diet. When I say I've cut nothing out, I mean I've cut nothing out. If I want something, I have it, but I track it. It might not be, my old mindset was very difficult with tracking because I thought I had to be exactly that thing. It might not be exactly that thing, but I find something that's close. If I am going to have a steak, I find a steak close, and then I add a tablespoon or so of butter, whatever I think might have been on it. If I am going to have fish and I had a sauce on it, I try to find the sauce, or I try to find a meal that is similar. I don't get bogged down with the exacts of it, which I know could make me fluctuate just a little bit. But that's why I try to stay just a little bit under whatever my calories should be, because I'm probably missing something when I go out and something is cooked for me. I fairly consistently eat the same breakfast. I have the same supplements. For lunch vary, dinner varies. If we cook at home, I keep it pretty lean and consistent. If I go out to eat, I try to choose a lean version, a tuna, a fish, or whatever. However, if I go out and I feel like a steak, I get a steak. If I feel like getting a dessert, I get a dessert, but I have a couple bites of it, but I track it as I'll put in a piece of cheesecake, right? But I'll put in a quarter of it because I only had a couple bites, or a brownie, or whatever it might be. I have also learned, and I get it, people are going to say that these aren't good for you either, but I'm going to tell you about this because it's something that helped me. We're here on the Cape in the summer. Everybody wants to go for ice cream when they come to visit. That's fine. I'm not a big ice cream person, but I also crave that flavor. That like mint chocolate chip is my go-to, or like an almond joy or a s'mores ice cream or something like that. And I have found Chobani, is that what it is? The Flips, the one that has yogurt on, it's a square, and it's like 3/4 of it is a yogurt, and there's a quarter that has like toppings that you can pour into it. They have a s'mores, they have a key lime pie, they have a strawberry cheesecake, they have a coconut something, they have a mint chocolate chip. And so when we go to get ice cream, I just have one of those instead while everybody's having the ice cream. If I'm craving something sweet or dessert, that's what I'll have. So it's just kind of worked for me. I am just literally tracking everything, but I am not saying I can't have that, I can't have this. If I sit down at a restaurant and they bring bread over, sometimes I feel like eating it, sometimes I don't. I like bread with butter, so I'll have a smaller piece of bread with some butter on it because that's how I like it, rather than eating a lot of bread. It's just kind of a swapping out or a deciding how much of it is worth it. Another key thing is I might look at the menu beforehand, decide what I'm going to get. When I get there, they might be out of it. It's just simply not what I'm in the mood for. So when I get home, I don't ever pre-track it. I put in my breakfast, I put in my lunch, I put in my snack and whatever else I have, but I then put it in. Even if I think I went over on my calories, I track it all either when I get home or the next morning, and I look at it. Some days on the weekend, I'm too busy to track it at all. I track it the next day or on Monday. But at least I track it. It's the physical act of tracking it, even if it's a day or two behind, that makes me look at it, realize what I did was wrong, possibly with a sauce or a dessert or whatever that might have put me over, but it then helps me for the next time I'm going out. And with that, I am now officially below 160 pounds for almost 3 weeks now, with a vacation to Jackson Hole, Wyoming in the middle of that, with traveling, with everything. That has been, I've fallen under that and I've stayed at that. I am literally at 159.2, so I'm not like super below it, but I was able to maintain that even when I was away. So I know that if I stay on this track, I can keep just edging down little bit by little bit. And then when I am away or doing things and not always tracking, because when I was away, I didn't track at all. I'll be honest with that. There are going to be times when you just can't, but you have to get back to it. And with that, I know that I can continue on the right path. So this combination of what I've been doing has been working for me. It's been a process. I don't want you guys to think this loss was just since I started HRT, but it was a good year working up to that of strength training, learning some of the eating habits, adding in walking, and then getting consistent with the strength training, the walking, and the eating and tracking. Now, again, is the HRT helping? I'm sure it is. Is it a placebo effect that just springboarded me into taking a bigger look at this? I don't know, but for now, this is the process that I have taken, and this is what is working for me. I used to do weighing in every single day as well. I weigh in once a week on a Friday. Here's why Friday, because Friday shows me the work I did during the week up until then. And most times when I see that little tick down, it motivates me through the weekend to continue eating well and paying attention to what I'm doing. I do not do strength training on weekends, but I do try to get in a minimum of 1 30-minute walk, but I do try for that 3 miles or 2 30 minutes or 1 45-minute as much as I possibly can. The last thing that I do want to mention that I started with in January, I had mentioned back when I started walking a while ago, I had bought just an inexpensive from Amazon, like, what are they called, pedometer, and it was before January. It was the end of November because it was a Black Friday sale. I decided to get an Aura ring. An Aura ring tracks all of my activity, all of my steps. It tracks what my stress level is. It tracks my sleep patterns. I charge it once a week. It takes about 30 minutes to charge and it lasts me a week. It lets me know all kinds of different statistics just about how my body is feeling. It tracks my menstrual cycle. It tracks my moods. It tracks so much stuff. It is crazy. I think the initial ring was around $500 and monthly it's about $10. I got mine through Best Buy because I could get the ring sizer first. I'll put that link down below if you're interested. I did hear they sell them on Amazon now, so I can try and link that if they do as well. But this also, unlike an Apple Watch, I did not like the Apple Watch. I felt like it was constantly like, I was always aware of the rings and like, it was like, just, I don't know, it gave me anxiety. This, I love it. I can check it as much or as little as I want. It's not in my face. And plus, honestly, I just didn't love wearing the Apple Watch. This, I don't mind. It looks okay on. You don't notice it. It just, I went with gold. You can go with any color you want. So those are the main things that I have done that have been different. So many of you had commented when you saw my Nordstrom anniversary try-on videos that you noticed a difference in my body. A lot of you had said not only did I look leaner, but that I looked much more fit, which is interesting. I have noticed it a lot in through tricep and in through my calves a lot. And I saw that a little bit in that video too. So that is definitely interesting that you guys are seeing that as well. So I am happy to hear that. And I am going to continue on this and we'll see where it takes me and how long it gets me, you know, and where it gets me to. I don't really have like an end goal. I stopped doing that too. I am just going to try my best every week and see where it takes me and try to make good choices. And I hope that some of this information was helpful for you or inspired you. I personally watch videos like this as well because it does inspire me. If there are any questions you have about any of the things I talked about, the HRT, the Aura Ring, the things I do, how I do them, please let me know. If it is something that needs more detail, I will try to include that in my next update video. And I hope you enjoyed this and have a great weekend. Get out there and do a walk.